some crazy strip club, I remember. I don't know where it was in the hood or something, but it was fun. It was funny. I don't know how I got there.
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the betting show for UFC 271, Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker. A great fight, part 2. Excited to break that fight down here, as well as we're going to be talking about Taichuivasa versus Derek Lewis. So really want to break these two fights down here. Excited to talk about it, but I'm going to Punta Cana tomorrow at 7 a.m. Punta Cana is going to be the shit. I can't wait. Out there with some friends. Got a lot of things planned out there. So I'm going to bring you guys with me. If you want to see the sights and sounds, it's at Kyle Anthony UFC. I'll be posting that on Twitter. But we are coming off a fantastic weekend. 4-0 on our client plays. A really great showing there. Over 17 units for the weekend. Really great, John Castaneda plus 194. That was a nice winner for us. He went out there and really showed his skill level and where he is. I don't think we're going to see him at that price anytime soon. As well as Nick Maximoff at plus 160. Really just overall, all things worked out for us. I did say we'd sweep on my birthday, so we sure did, as well as we did hit on Sean Strickland to win via decision on the show here. I gave that out. That was plus 190. So it was just great. Hey, we were making money. It feels good, but we got to go into this next weekend, this next card. Always opportunities to go out there and make money, and we got to do it. So we got to focus. We got to stay focused here. So if you want to see my client plays or if you want to buy the ones that I have up currently, link in the description if you want to get involved into that and become a client. If not, we're going to talk 2 free plays here for you guys. So let's get into it. Let's talk. So we're going to first break down Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker. Right now we've got the line is Adesanya is a minus 265. And you've got Robert Whittaker on the comeback there at roughly plus 210, roughly, depending where you're shopping. But what we always do here, we're going to break 3 fights down for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, if the line makes sense to place a wager. So what we're going to do is we're first going to talk the champion, Israel Adesanya, and 3 fights ago, he fought Paulo Costa. Now listen, Paulo Costa here in this situation, alligator arms Paulo Costa was the issue here. He does not have the reach, we all know that, but he does have that power. He does, be able to move forward and just not scared to go in there and go toe-to-toe. He knows he can take some shots, as well as he's got that power advantage. He's just very massive. And this is a spot here where really, it was the range. I mean, Israel just looked fantastic. He stayed on the outside, worked his range, popped out those combinations, kept, Paulo guessing. Paulo just, in the beginning, said how much going to walk him down. But even in that situation, he just couldn't really get into a rhythm. And that's such the thing about Israel Adesanya. It's not just the range, it's his footwork, it's the angles, it's his versatility with his striking. And in this spot here, he goes out there, dominates, knocks him out in the second round, finds the finish, but this was just really I think a landslide performance for Israel against a guy that really, it was just a great stylistic matchup for Israel Adesanya, but he goes up there and he gets the victory over Paulo Costa. 2 fights ago, he fought Jan Blachowicz. He went up in weight, decided to say, hey, I'm going for the title. It was a champion versus champion situation here, and this was a spot here I gotta say that I'm favoring the champ. Well, they both are champs. I'm favoring Adesanya. I really just thought the movement would be a little bit too much for Jan. I thought that maybe even opportunities where, he could defend some of those takedowns, use that range. And I thought Jan looked unbelievable. And he does continue to elevate. We've seen him consistently get better over time, and it's almost like Glover. It's almost like we're, getting better over time, maybe putting in some extra hours. Who knows what it is, but I thought he looked good. And contrary to what a lot of people think, Jan actually was outstriking on the feet Israel Adesanya. And I think part of that had to do possibly with some of the takedowns where he's a little bit worried about that, didn't want to be taken down, kind of didn't throw some of those leg strikes that maybe he thought that Jan would just look, take, and work to the ground from top position there. But overall, this was in a close fight. But the takedowns where Jan was able to capitalize, and when he was able to get top control, he did not look good on the ground. I mean, really, I thought Israel looked very bad on the ground. Once he was down the ground, he was stuck there a lot of times, was really worried about continually getting taken down. I think that was a strength situation there too. We've got a guy like Jan who is bigger, and again, Israel came in very late into that fight, and it just gave a lot of leverage for Jan to utilize his wrestling, utilize his strength, and get those takedowns and work control. So he goes out there, he does lose that decision there, but overall, I really thought Jan looked great. It was a very tough matchup for Israel, now looking at it, but he goes out there and he does lose against Jan Blachowicz via decision. And then most recently, he fought Marvin Vettori, part 2 here, and this was a spot here where I gotta say, you know, Vettori is, I mean, he's just a goofball. But he really, you know, he stuck to the game plan. His game plan was, I'm going to try to get the takedown. Is that the path to victory to beat Israel? You know, everyone's kind of talking about that. And the one thing I thought I really took away from in this fight compared to the last fight, or even, you know, Vettori's last fight with Israel, or even the last fight with Blachowicz, is I thought his scrambling and his grappling really, really looked good. Because you saw in the spot here, he did get taken down. Now, and that's going to be something I think that you're going to, you know, that could be something, obviously a path to victory. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but a path to victory possibly for Whittaker. But what I liked here is that Israel looked way better in those situations. Even when he was taken down and Vettori had that top position, I really liked the scrambling. There was 1.2 where Vettori took him down, had, you know, almost full mount. I mean, and then Israel kind of, you know, reversed it. Then there was even a spot 2 where Vettori had his back. It looked like it was absolutely terrible. You even hear the announcer say, this could be the end for him. And then he ends up really reversing the situation, getting on top, being on top of Vettori. I mean, it was a lot different than him against Jan. Now, you could actually credit that to getting better, or you could get that credit to the fact that Jan, you know, Vettori is not, you know, as big as Blachowicz is, and that maybe that's the difference between it. But in that fight there, the scrambling ability is really what kept him on his feet. He kept working back to his feet pretty quickly, and I think again that is a massive piece of his basically of his weaponry that he needs if he's going to fight anybody else in the division, because if people don't those takedowns, that's going to be a spot for him. But he goes out there, he gets a decision victory there. Again, great spot for him there to really show that he's elevating his grappling. And then on our side, we've got Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker, again, plus 210. 3 fights ago, he fought Darren Till. Now listen, I am not big on Darren Till at all. I am, you know, I mean, I understand now he's 1-4 out of his last 5. You know, his only victory was a split decision victory over Kelvin Gastelum, and you know, I'm not that big on Kelvin Gastelum to begin with anyway. Also, he did fight Kelvin Gastelum, but this is a spot here where really, you know, Till, it was a close fight, but Till, he does the same thing. I mean, he does the same things over and over and over. He's got absolutely fantastic Muay Thai. He's got great kickboxing, you know, good in the clinch, but he does the same 1-2 punch every single combination. He'll throw a leg kick and he'll throw, you know, the 1-2. He'll throw something else, the 1-2, and he's looking to just land the big left. That's all he's looking to do. He does have the power, but it's almost like it's just too easy to defend on certain guys. It was a close fight here between, it was a close fight here, but the thing about it, again, is, you know, Whittaker did what he needed to do to get the victory, so I'm not going to dive into this one here because I don't really value Darren Till at all, but he goes out there and he does beat Darren Till via decision. And then 2 fights ago, he fought Jared Cannonier, and this is a fight here, again, there's just issues here for me, and the reason really being is Cannonier broke his arm in the first kick of the fight. And so, you know, to me, that, again, it's a 3-round fight, but to me here is a spot where you've got a guy with a broken arm. Now, he doesn't know it. Obviously, Whittaker didn't know it. Us viewing it didn't know it. But the fact that he was not really, you know, Whittaker just did enough. I think he lost the first round, and then I think it was the first round, but whatever it was really 2-1, the way that I had scored it. But again, it wasn't really this wow performance from him. And with the guy with a broken arm, he really didn't take advantage of it. He didn't look that great. He looked good. He didn't look that great. He goes out there and gets the victory, but I just don't think it wasn't a stamp. He should have really stamped it on Cannonier there and gotten the victory. But he does get the victory in that fight there. So there you have it there. And then most recently, he fought Kelvin Gastelum. Now, this was a fight here where, you've got Whittaker. I thought he fought well. He dominated. He went out there and really dominated the fight. But again, to me, I'm not big on Gastelum. These guys, they're losing to some elite guys. There's no doubt these guys are losing to elite guys. But this was another spot where he really, maybe he should have put him away. Maybe he should have really beat up Gastelum. Gastelum was having some success in certain spots. So we're going to leave it at that because we're going to wrap it all up. But there you have it there. He does go out there and he does get the victory over Kelvin Gastelum. Now, with that being said, again, I'm trying to go a little bit quicker. I always say that and then I keep talking. But, so obviously here you've got Israel Adesanya. You've got Adesanya. He is elite kickboxer. We know about his distance management, his versatile striking, the way he can just really set up these strikes, move around, and he's just very comfortable with space. And then your side, obviously, Robert Whittaker, he's well-rounded, he's shown power. But I think the big piece here, and I think that's something that I think that Whittaker will struggle with in this fight, is the fact that, Whittaker finds that success with guys who are looking to go toe-to-toe. Guys like Till, who are just going to bang, 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 throw shots. Guys like Kelvin Gastelum, who are not scared to just go toe-to-toe and fire. Those are some of the situations where I think he has a lot of success. And then on the other side, you've got where Adesanya, he moves around a lot. He's just, the distance, I think, really throws off Whittaker. And I think, again, in that first fight, it was close early. Then he lands that beautiful shot at the end of the first round, drops Whittaker, and then he pretty much did the same thing, to Whittaker to end the fight. But you did see that Whittaker almost looked frustrated. When he was kind of going forward in that first fight, you could tell he just couldn't keep Adesanya in front of him. And that, I think, kind of got him into trouble because then he was trying to muscle forward, he was trying to push forward, and that allowed somebody with that range and that reach to land and keep landing until he got the finish. So that, I think, is extremely important where it's going to be a very tough stylistic matchup for Whittaker. We've seen it once, but again, there's the same problems I believe are going to be there. Obviously, the reach advantage, we just kind of touched on it, but a 7-inch reach advantage is massive with a guy who strikes as versatile as Israel Adesanya does. And we've seen somebody like John Jones, where that's just, he's got that elite level, that striking, but you add an extra 7 inches on your reach over the other opponent, and you're going to have a lot of problems. So I think that also, we all know, but that also is going to be a big, big, big problem here. Now, the reason here also, the last reason here, is, well, first I'm going to tell you actually my pick before I kind of get into why. I think that obviously this is going to be Adesanya. I really think this is going to be Adesanya. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people indicate. Now, and then people are kind of leading on to believe this. Now, the line is wide, and there could you have some value on Whittaker? Maybe. Maybe, but for me, this is an Adesanya kind of fight. This is a really good fight for him here. But we're not going to bet the minus 265 number. We're going to be looking at Adesanya via decision, and I think it's a great price here. And you're getting plus 160 on Adesanya via decision. And here's the reason why also that I believe it will go further. And part of it here is kind of, I touched on it, so I kind of stopped for a minute there. Kind of touched on it is that I don't think Whittaker is going to go out there and really pressure the way that he pressured and allow Adesanya to counter. And that, to me, is a very, very big portion of this fight, is if you're going to let, Adesanya kind of pick you apart as you're coming forward, that's fine. I think that he needs to kind of change up the pace a little bit. I think he needs to kind of be a little bit more patient and find his openings. Maybe chip away on the legs a little bit. Maybe start to slow Adesanya down. I don't think him going guns blazing or just I can't keep Adesanya in front of me and firing is the right thing, and I don't think you're going to see that. I think it's going to be a slow pace early, and I also believe the reason why is there's going to be opportunity for takedowns here. And I think Whittaker is going to look for that. I think the grappling is going to slow some of the fight down. I think also there could be a round where Whittaker gets top control and wins that round just by top control. Maybe he's not hammering some shots, but again, Adesanya has looked a little bit better when it comes to these takedowns, when it comes to just, maybe he's getting the takedowns, but the scrambling ability has been there. I think that's really important in this fight where it's going to last a little bit longer. And I also think that, contrary to the way, we're looking at Adesanya, Adesanya is, we have him on this pedestal as this guy that is just, he's sparking everybody, he's putting everybody away. But you look at his 10 UFC wins, 6 have come by decision. So he definitely has that decision portion in there where he just goes out there and wins on the scorecards. And you kind of saw that even against Vettori, where Vettori was doing the pressuring, was pushing forward, and that was slowing the times down of how much damage that Vettori could take. I don't think that Whittaker's going to go to that extent, but I think that drags the fight out a little bit longer here. And then you've got on the other side, you've got Whittaker. Whittaker, out of his 17 fights, he's lost 3 times, and twice was by knockout. So he's not a guy that's going out there and he's not just getting sparked or beaten up, although that's in our minds because what Adesanya just did to Whittaker, well, not just did, but last time. I think this is a spot where a decision is a nice spot here. It's a nice sprinkle bet here at plus 160. I think it's worth it. I just don't think Adesanya goes out there and is that same Adesanya going out there and looking for that knockout. I think this fight goes the distance. I think he wins over 5 rounds. So we're going to go Israel Adesanya to win via decision plus 160. And then the last fight I'm going to just quickly go over is Derek Lewis versus Taichuivasa. You've got Derek Lewis minus 192, and then you've got Taichuivasa is plus 154. So obviously both these guys got massive power. We know that. Not telling anything you don't know there. But my last bet of 2021 was Derek Lewis via knockout plus 190 against Chris Daukaus. And now the reason why I was just all in on Derek Lewis just getting the knockout. One, that's going to be his path to victory in a fight of this caliber. But I really thought that it was just too much too soon for Daukaus. I think Daukaus is a great fighter. I think that he has a lot of great skill sets, and everyone was kind of talking about, hey, does he, his quick hand speed. He somewhat does. I mean, I think so. But man, the caliber of guys he was fighting, these older guys like Olenek, and just these older guys that aren't really as versatile as, or has that stand-up scary bombs coming back at him, where he could kind of walk these guys down, he could throw the big shots, he's not worried about the big shots coming back, and that was basically my angle there. Hey, they're going to go toe-to-toe, Daukaus is not going to take a step back, and he's not going to realize the power that's coming back to him because he has not felt it. He has not felt that kind of power since pretty much being in the UFC. Now he is. That really was a way in. Now for me here in this spot, that now you've got somebody like Taichuivasa. The biggest thing for Taichuivasa and the biggest issue that I do see for Lewis is the hand speed. Now, that is going to be something a little bit different because Taichuivasa has been in here. Taichuivasa has experience. Now, he had a couple losses against some tough opponents, and then he goes out there and wins 4 straight by knockout, 3 in the first round, 1 in the second round, has really looked good. And, I had him against Sakai, and I really thought that was a good spot for him there to go out there. He folds Sakai pretty easily there in that first round. But I think that not only is it going to be the hand speed, but I do like, and I talked about this last time when I picked Taichuivasa, is the leg kicks. It has really been a weapon for him that you've seen over these 4 fights where he's really brought it in. And people are talking about this knockout power that he has. He has that. But I think it's setting it up behind these leg kicks because it's really slowing down these opponents. They're starting to worry about it. And Tai, when he throws those leg kicks, he is going all in on these leg kicks. He is really firing them with full power, and he doesn't care if you're checking it, not checking it. Now, Derek Lewis is the kind of guy that doesn't really check leg kicks. He's, he has some versatility where he throws these kind of jumping kicks, and I don't even know where he gets this agility from. But this is a spot where I think Taichuivasa can start chipping away at those legs, slow down Lewis a little bit more. I think that is going to help. And you've got to also remember the fact that Lewis is 37 years old. He is not some spring chicken anymore. He has been around. He just does not care. He'll fight anybody. And then you've got their side, you've got, Taichuivasa at 28 years old. He's definitely on the rise. And I also think that this is a little bit of recency bias here where, I think a lot of people remember that big knockout from Derek Lewis, where now it's almost overcorrected. You're almost at minus 200 on a heavyweight fight. Now, obviously anything could happen in these fights here, but the variance at heavyweight also is pushing me over to Taichuivasa. So not only do I think that Taichuivasa, has the youth, less MMA mileage, better hand speed, maybe some better versatile striking where he utilizes those leg kicks very well to then, guys start working with the leg kicks and then sets up the shots up top. I think that's really, really kind of the way that it's going to be ended up on Saturday night here. So I do like Taichuivasa here, plus 154. Some people are already talking about, hey, should you be betting the knockout? The knockout, Taichuivasa being a knockout is plus 260. Definitely a nice price there. Definitely not bad for a little bit of a sprinkle on that. But for me here, I like the price enough. For me, I do like the price enough at plus 155. Now, if this was a pick'em, or maybe minus 115 or somewhere around there, and where I actually think it should be, I actually think the line should be more towards evens than towards really giving Taichuivasa close to a plus 160 number. So to me, there's enough on the bone here. It's almost like where I talked about Francis Ngannou versus Gane, where the most likely path for Ngannou was a knockout, absolutely. But my 4% play was Ngannou just winning because it was plus 130. It was a good number. I thought we were going to get Ngannou at maybe minus 150, and I'm getting him at plus 130. I don't need to limit my bet to look for a particular method of victory. Now, in an Adesanya fight against Whittaker, I like Adesanya, but we got to dive a little bit deeper into what's the method that's most likely, and then find some value there and getting off of a big minus number. So for me, when it's a plus number, I don't really feel like I got to get greedy and, hey, let me do just the knockout. Now, is it very likely? Absolutely, it's very likely. One of these guys could land within the first 30 seconds and drop the other guy. But I think they're both going to respect each other's power a little bit too. So there could be a little bit of, change of pace going on there as well. But I do like Taichuivasa plus 154 as my other free play. So if you want to take a look at my client plays, I've got 3 up right now. Take a look, link down in the description. We're ready to go here, man. Those are my plays for UFC 271. Very excited about this. Now, I leave for Punta Cana, 7 a.m. Gotta finish packing. Got to get my shit together. And again, I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff on Twitter at KyleAnthonyUFC if you want to check it out. And let's see how we do. I'll be watching UFC 271 out there, as well as the Super Bowl on Sunday. So I'm excited to be out there. Follow me at KyleAnthonyUFC. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. And I'll see you next time.